Freedom's the answer. What's the question? You're listening to Ernest Hancock.
Love ain't the same on the south side of town. You could look, but you ain't gonna find it around. It's the same old story, same old song and dance, my friend. It's the same old story.
Same old story. Same old song and dance. Man, this is what happens over and over and over. We know because, government's very predictable. They just want to take whatever you got because, let me tell you why. Because they can, okay? It's no more complicated than that. They will until they can't. And what stops them? Well, it always comes from the people. We had the gentleman from Poland. It's called languageofliberty.org. Language of Liberty Project is in Poland by Glenn Kripe. That is a good friend here. He's retired. He's got some cash, and he says, I'm going to go infect Europe, especially with the Eastern Bloc. So he goes in Slovakia and Poland, and he has these conferences, and he gets them, and he's trying to make sure that they have the philosophy intact that when Europe goes down and the European Union, it be going down, when that happens, the resurrection of the next generation, Generation Next, is that they have the right concept of government, that they didn't go from, to go from communism to Western-style democracy, in reality, there's not a whole lot of difference. It's just the appearance of a difference. So what happens is he's trying to get them in Austrian economics and so on, so that when this kind of stuff happens, when you create government and you start over, that your mind is in the right place of what the proper role of government is. Well, here in the United States, and even in the more freer mindset of the Southwest here, you still have the mechanism that's put in place by which we're going to take from people and give to others. Once you create a revenue stream, that all you have to do is just know how the system works, and you put things in the line of that revenue stream to bleed off the cash. It's contracts to people. It's different people on the payroll, or even not people on the payroll. It's just, so that's one thing that, here comes some felony. You ready? You ready? Ed Foster's going to help us out here. Now, one of the things that he wanted to do, of course, he knew to check for the money. So I want to have Ed explain it to us. Ed.
Well, I went through the books of the town, and I looked, and we were spending a lot of money on engineering, but it was all above board. You could see that there was a purchase order. The money was going. But one thing happens. I went to look at the payroll, and I got W-2 statements, and I think they must have had a brain fart because they gave them to me. They gave me they gave me a report of all the W-2s. There were 50 W-2 statements that I got.
They just gave them without a challenge? You didn't have to...
They were a little... They hemmed and hawed, but they gave them to me. They gave me a report, the name and the W-2 wages of all the employees. There were 50 names. Out of that 50, there were 8 of them were under $14,000, all the way down to one gentleman who just started in December and only worked a couple weeks, got $700. But those 14 or 8 people, that would represent part-time help, people that maybe worked January and February and quit, or ended up working just November and December. $14,000 is not an annual salary. Anyhow, I determined that we had 42 employees. Then I got thinking, I went through last year's financial records, and I took 5 weeks at random, and out of the 5 weeks, 3 of them we had 52 paychecks. And we were okaying the payroll with just a name or just an amount and a check number. Check number and amount.
Time out. You're saying over a 5-week period, they were getting 52 paychecks.
No. Over 5 random paydays, which they pay in Quartzite every 2 weeks. I picked 5 paydays. You get a report which says check number so-and-so, amount. Check number so-and-so, and amount. No names, just a check number. So you have to count. You go down the list. There's 52 of them. And I only got 50 W-2s. So immediately something is wrong. Even a part-time employee has to pay income tax.
So you had 2 employees that were getting checks that had no record.
I'm thinking not 2, because my math says there are only 42 employees when you take away the part-time ones. So now you got 42 employees, and they're cutting 52 checks. Okay. Where are the extra 8 to 10 checks going every 2 weeks? If you think the average check is $1,000, and you do that 26 times a year, and you got 8 to 10 checks, you're talking about $250,000 that somebody's getting paid. For what and to whom? And that's my question. I went to the state ombudsman's office because when I asked that question...
Okay, now the state what?
Ombudsman.
Okay, well, what is that? I hear ombudsman all the time.
People's aid. That's a German word for the people's aid. If you have trouble with freedom of information, they are charged by the legislature to aid you in recovering your document request.
Right.
So I went there. They sent a letter, an opinion from the Attorney General that public payroll is public information. But Quartzite don't agree with that. They think it's confidential. They are not giving me those checks. No way can I see those checks. They have
not only do they have a state opinion that it is public information, and oh, by the way, it just so happens that you're the mayor, okay? That doesn't seem to matter. And they're going, no. And I'm going, why?
Well, I'll tell you what. All the things that these police officers are alleging, they sort of stepped out in front here and sort of surprised me when they come up here and started accusing this chief of police for felony crimes. That was a surprise. I was concentrating on the checks because my opinion in this is always about the money.
Always.
Always about the money. And I've been looking for that for 2 years. Even before I was mayor, I was going through the financials, trying to figure. I thought when I got to be mayor, boy, I'm going to go in the back room and look at the books. Don't work that way. They still can hide it. So I went to document request. They said I couldn't get reports. They actually passed an ordinance that said I couldn't go in and ask for a report without the councilman's permission. So I went to the counter like a citizen and filled out a document request form. And that's where I've been. They started denying it when I got down to the real one. When I get to the real story, then when they start denying it and standing up in the face of the state government against it, now I know there's something behind it.
Hell yeah. I knew before it even happened there was going to be something behind it. You know, I mean, it's just government. Was there any doubt in our mind, Barry?
Well, now, so ultimately, it's going to have to come out. Where are those extra checks going and whose name's on them?
That's right.
They're
Sooner or later.
They're so done.
My little brother did it in Florida with the sheriff down there. He was actually using the public payroll to pay off politicians to keep his support. That actually happened, and the FBI arrested the sheriff, and he went to prison. But I think I have a very similar situation.
Well, they have to be talking about this. I mean, they got to have their own little super secret, handshake meeting somewhere. I mean, are these guys, they're conspiring something? You're not invited. I know that.
Absolutely.
So there's like open meeting law violations.
All the time.
Well, where?
Yeah, Councilman Lucasen has a laundromat and restaurant. And they meet there regularly. I get reports from people that they're there. It's open meeting law violations are really hard, except that in Miss Jones' case, her being denied the chance to speak at a meeting, that is an open meetings law violation. And I am going to file next week here. I'm circulating a petition to the Arizona Attorney General. I'm filing a complaint for an open meetings law violation on that particular.
Yeah, and then what? You got to go through the process. Now, when we come back, Jennifer has a website, a newspaper. It's called the MINESHAFT or something.
No,
right?
That's mine.
Oh, is that yours?
Hers is the Desert Freedom Press.
Desert Freedom Press. So we're going to talk. It's not going away.